Reducing Food Waste and Improving Food Safety in IBM's 2019 5 and 5. I'm Tonya Hall for ZDNet and Tech Republic, and joining me is Jeff Welser, Vice President and Lab Director, IBM Research, Almaden. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
IBM is gearing up for IBM Think 2019 conference in San Francisco. At the conference, you'll be unveiling your annual 5 and 5 tech predictions. What do you mean by 5 and 5?
Yeah, we've been doing this since about 2006, and we try and identify 5 technologies that we think can have a real impact on society in 5 years. That's the 5 and 5. We try to pick things that are a little bit off the beaten path, things that maybe you don't expect IBM Research or IT technology to have impact on, but things that it might be more personal to folks in their daily lives.
One of the things that I find interesting is that IBM researchers around the globe are working on 5 new technologies that will transform the food supply chain over the next 5 years. In supply chain order, let's discuss them. Start with the farmings and digital doubles.
Absolutely. So that's from the seed itself. So obviously getting more productivity in our farms is a huge challenge as the population grows. By creating a digital double of the farm so you can actually manage your farm more accurately, we think you can really improve your productivity, even in places like Africa and places where it's been a challenge traditionally. So you do this by not only IoT sensors, of course, in the fields themselves for water and fertilizer, but also with satellite imagery and combining that together to get a real view of what the farm is doing, figure out the best way to manage the crops for maximum productivity and yield. And that information then can be shared too with other folks in the supply chain so they can manage the whole supply chain then more efficiently to get the maximum amount out.
Let's talk about the role of blockchain. How will blockchain leave more food on our plates and less in our trash?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we waste somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of all the food in the food supply chain along the way, and we really like to see that get reduced. So if you take it from the farm and you go through a number of different distributors, transport people, retail, food processors, those are all points in the chain. If you can get those people on a blockchain where you can actually have insight into where the food is all the way along, be able to trace back where the food came from later on if there's a problem, and have a better view also of where it's going to go next and where it's needed. So if carrots are flying off the shelves in Nebraska and they aren't selling well in California, let's ship over there instead. And that can be happening only because people are sharing this information all the way in real time.
We've certainly had an issue with bad bacteria in the news over and over. How will mapping the microbiome protect us from bad bacteria?
Yeah, so we do a lot of testing already in the food industry, of course, to try and keep bad bacteria out. But of course, you can only test for those things you know you're looking for. The idea is if you could test the whole microbiome, know every bacteria that's on your food, all the good ones, the vast majority are good, benign bacteria, you could then also see if there's suddenly a problem's emerging. So if suddenly you see a different type of bacteria showing up on your food, even if it's not a bad one, something's changed. That gives you headlights. There might be something you should check more carefully here. The idea is to try and catch something before the bad bacteria get in there.
Okay, how can we now use our phones to detect bacteria?
We've come up with a way to actually take an optical lens and actually attach it onto a phone that could actually resolve down to sort of the micron scale. Phones have very good cameras as it is. We figured out a way to be clever with the optics. So you can actually see bacteria itself, whether it's on your plate or on your countertop. Of course, it requires a lot of AI in the back end to be able to interpret what's coming in, to understand what it's seeing. But we could see this as a way you could literally detect on your food before you eat it if there's some problem in the future.
Now, explain the new recycling process that will actually breathe life into old plastic.
Yeah, we all try our best to recycle plastic, I think, but the reality is it's very difficult to recycle most plastic. If it's colored plastic or if it's dirty plastic, you can only recycle a small amount of it and probably only once or twice before you have to dispose of it. We have a process called Volcat, which actually is able to take all that dirty plastic. If it's PET, a very specific type of plastic that's very prevalent, it can be dirty, it can have colors in it. Volcat will take it down to its constituent parts, the very basic chemicals it was made from, so you can separate those out, and it's like you've got a brand new starting spot. So you can recycle over and over and over again and truly reuse plastic, hopefully indefinitely.
Congrats on the 5 to 5 and for trying to keep our planet a little more green and us a little healthier. Jeff, if somebody wants to connect with you, maybe they want to find out more about the work that you're doing in this space, how can they do that?
They can follow me at Jeff Welser on Twitter. And I'm also, of course, on the website, research.ibm.com has all of our latest breakthroughs.
Perfect. And if you guys want to find more of my interviews, you can do that right here on ZDNet or Tech Republic, or go to my website, tonyahall.net. I've got links to all my social sites. Thanks for watching.